But usually you can find a politician that'll take up your cause, especially if it's one that's as popular as stopping, Open Meetings Act violation. I mean, come to me, I'll talk to you. And I'll try and get it out there in the paper. I mean, these are things, look, we've got, transparency is on our side. I mean, we've got the citizens on our side. We ought to be aggressive at demanding that they adhere to, whether it's open meetings, whether it's campaigning, I mean, I chair the Oversight, Reform, and Ethics Committee in the House, and we've got bills regarding school districts using their emails and their computer systems to pass millages and to promote elections, and we're getting examples of how that's being used, and so those are usually you can find a politician that doesn't have any problem exposing issues, and if you're having a problem with that, let me know.
Also, if you call your legislator, they have a direct line to the Attorney General's Office for Consumer Complaints, and they can request that the Attorney General look into the matter.
Ruth Johnson has been a great supporter of Tea Party and independents as well as Republican and Democrats. What I'm concerned about at the moment is the apparent build-up to a repeat of the fiasco that we had of the presidential primary. And I'm interested in what, first of all, I've learned this morning that the Republican Party is advocating for a presidential primary, which means simply that independents are disenfranchised because you have to vote for a Republican Party or Democratic Party as a question. So what can we do to avoid that ending up in federal court like the last time?
Can you take it from there?
So I understand your question correctly. You're saying that you want to maintain you don't want an open primary system, or not? You're concerned about a closed primary system. Is that right?
Last time, in order to vote in the primary, you had to declare that you're going to vote as a registered Democrat or as a registered Republican and nothing else, or you couldn't vote because those each had a slate of who you could nominate from this state for a Democrat candidate for president or Republican candidate for president.
Can't split your ballot.
Well, I mean, Michigan has a history of having an open primary system in years past. I was actually a sponsor of an amendment in my first term in the early 1990s to guarantee an open primary system. I know that there's questions about, there are those that would like to see us alter the date when we can have our primary, because we obviously want Michigan to play a significant role in the presidential primary system. But I'm not aware, I know I haven't introduced legislation regarding a specific form of presidential primary. So your concern is duly noted, but as far as my history is concerned, as far as the people of the state of Michigan, they've always demonstrated a desire to have the freest and most open system for independents to vote.
But I'll take the other side, and a lot of people think that it should be very closed, that Republicans should choose the Republican nominee and Democrats should choose the Democrat nominee. And as a matter of fact, Bobby Shostak and the others could decide that it's going to be done in a caucus, at a convention. Other states do that, and so then you don't have Democrats voting in our primary. I mean, quite frankly, last time the Democrats were on the ballot, but it didn't make any difference the outcome of that vote, so they switched over and voted in our primary. So I would argue, actually, now you can get in trouble, this is being filmed, and somebody says, well, you don't want certain people to vote. I want them to vote, but when in a primary, when a party is deciding its nominee, the Republicans ought to decide the Republican nominee. And so, actually it would kind of counter, and there is the argument of everybody should be able to vote. But I don't know if it would take a lot of work from you folks in the grassroots who want to say, I don't want Democrats voting in a Republican primary, and I don't think they should want Republicans voting in a Democrat primary. So let's either close it or have it at conventions. Now, if you close it, I think it requires state legislation because it's utilizing the Secretary of State. If they have a convention, which is what the Democrats did 3 years ago, and there was no big outcry, they had a phony names on the ballot, but then they held a convention where it really counted. If for PR purposes we want to say that we're going to have an open primary, but we're going to decide in convention, the party could decide that. And as long as they're not using state resources, they can decide they're going to hold a convention. And I would encourage you, if you feel that that's the right way, so Republicans are deciding the nominee, then talk to the party.
Okay, could we do it this way? If you have a question, come and get in line right here. If you're unable to get in line, I'll come to you, but you'll be last. Okay? This lady has a question or questions.
First off, I want to give my undying praise to Ruth Johnson, who years ago was my state representative. She stood alone and went after our Oakland County ISD. We played a lot of games with, but she filed FOIAs. But she finally managed to win the conviction of our former superintendent of the ISD, convicted and even sentenced to jail for the games he played with our tax dollars and the abuse that he did for special needs children and whatnot in our school system. The question I want to ask is how and when we can get transparency on the numerous state government bureaucracies, especially those agencies that duplicate one another, and especially those agencies that are wasting instead of giving us true value for our tax dollars, so we can have the knowledge of what bureaucracies we can finally do away with that are wasting our money.
Yeah, I had a bill that I reintroduced this year that would give, state transparency